Rain lashed against the asphalt, mirroring the turmoil in Keanu Reeves' heart as he chased the speeding animal control truck through the slick Los Angeles streets. Each frantic footfall echoed his desperation, a raw plea for a life hanging precariously in the balance. The tiny puppy's whimpers, swallowed by the city's harsh symphony of sirens and horns, pierced through the noise, a fragile sound of vulnerability that snagged at Keanu's soul. His gaze locked onto the overturned trash bin, the spot where moments before, he'd seen the small creature standing guard over a hidden figure, a fleeting glimpse of a man shrouded in hardship. He pushed harder, ignoring the burn in his lungs, the stitch in his side. This chase was no longer about just rescuing a dog. Los Angeles, a city shimmering with manufactured dreams, concealed a stark underbelly of neglect and disparity. Beneath the blinding lights of Hollywood and the sprawling opulence of Beverly Hills, a silent crisis festered, a surging tide of homelessness, a chasm of social inequality widening with each fleeting moment of manufactured celebrity spectacle. In this land of ambition, compassion was a dwindling resource, solidarity a ghost of a forgotten ideal. It was a city teetering on the edge, where the faintest spark of kindness could ignite a wildfire of change, or be extinguished by the crushing weight of indifference. Keanu Reeves, the action hero beloved worldwide, wrestled with the dissonance between his public persona and his private yearning. Behind the movie star smile and the expertly choreographed fight scenes, lay a man grappling with a profound loneliness, a craving for genuine connection that fame had ironically amplified, yet perpetually denied. He yearned for authenticity, for moments of unfiltered humanity, a space to be simply Keanu, not Keanu Reeves, the celebrity. This chase, fueled by a primal instinct to protect the vulnerable, was a visceral rebellion against the superficiality that often suffocated him. Unseen amidst the city's clamor lived Marcus Doc Wilson, a veteran adrift in the very nation he'd served. His home was the unforgiving concrete, his possessions the threadbare blankets clinging to his weary frame, his sole companion a small, loyal puppy named Shadow. Shadow was more than just a dog, he was Doc's anchor, a furry embodiment of unwavering devotion in a world that had discarded him. Their bond, forged in the crucible of shared hardship, was a silent testament to resilience and the desperate need for connection in a city that preferred to look away. Their world was about to collide with the speeding van and the determined figure of Keanu Reeves, setting in motion a chain of events that would ripple through the city's carefully constructed facade of indifference. Los Angeles, a city sculpted from sunshine and shadows, shimmered on the surface with movie premieres and celebrity endorsements, a dazzling spectacle for the world to envy. Yet, beneath this carefully constructed mirage pulsed a different city, one choked by a silent epidemic of homelessness, a widening chasm between the haves and have-nots. Glittering boulevards gave way to neglected alleyways, sprawling mansions cast long shadows over tent cities, and the relentless pursuit of fame drowned out the whispers of despair. In this sprawling metropolis, human connection often felt as manufactured as the studio backlots, compassion a fleeting commodity in a marketplace of ambition, and the media, a ravenous beast, perpetually hunted for sensational stories, often blurring the lines between truth and entertainment, empathy and exploitation. Keanu Reeves, a name etched in Hollywood history, carried the weight of his own mythology. The world saw the action hero, the stoic defender, the internet's sweetheart, but beneath the layers of public adoration resided a man acutely aware of the artifice, yearning for genuine connection. His fame, a gilded cage, amplified his isolation, fueling a deep-seated need to find meaning beyond the scripted narratives of his career. This chase through the rain-soaked streets was not a calculated act of publicity, it was a visceral response, a shedding of his carefully constructed persona, driven by an innate empathy that the relentless demands of stardom had threatened to extinguish. He sought authenticity in a world built on illusions, a connection to something real amidst the manufactured realities of his life. Sarah Chen, an animal control officer, navigated the stark realities of this city's underbelly daily. Once fueled by a genuine love for animals, her idealism had been slowly eroded by the relentless machinery of bureaucracy and the sheer volume of urban neglect. Each shift was a grim ballet of capture and containment, a soul-crushing cycle where compassion often clashed with cold protocol. She'd become disillusioned, her conscience a nagging voice amidst the weary cynicism of her colleagues. Trapped between her initial desire to protect vulnerable creatures and the grim demands of her job, Sarah teetered on the precipice of burnout, her empathy battling against the numbing effects of the system she served. Marcus Stock-Wilson, a ghost in the sprawling city, carried the invisible wounds of war. A veteran cast aside, his service seemingly forgotten in the face of civilian indifference, he existed in the city's forgotten corners, his days a blur of survival, his nights haunted by memories. Shadow, the scrappy terrier mix, was his lifeline, his confidant, the unwavering heart in his desolate world. Their bond, forged in mutual vulnerability, was a testament to the enduring power of connection amidst profound isolation. Doc's past was a tapestry of valor and sacrifice, now unraveling into the present reality of homelessness, a stark indictment of a society that lauded its heroes in rhetoric but often abandoned them in practice. He sought only anonymity and the quiet companionship of his dog, unaware that his path was about to intersect with the whirlwind of Keanu Reeves' compassion. Vanessa Sharp, a local news reporter, viewed Los Angeles as a vertical landscape, a ladder to climb relentlessly towards the pinnacle of her ambition. Each story was a rung, each headline a step closer to her ultimate goal: network news, national recognition, the unwavering spotlight. Empathy, in her professional calculus, was a tool to be wielded strategically, a means to an end rather than an intrinsic value. She possessed a keen journalistic instinct, a hunger for the sensational, and an ability to craft compelling narratives, yet beneath the ambition, a nascent flicker of genuine human curiosity remained, waiting for a story that might just crack through her carefully constructed professional armor. This chase, with Keanu Reeves at its center, was the kind of story that could catapult her to the big leagues, but it also held the potential to awaken something deeper within her, something beyond ambition. Keanu's frantic chase took an unexpected turn when Sarah, conflicted but moved by his raw plea, revealed a hidden departmental directive, a citywide sweep targeting homeless encampments, prioritizing pet containment, driven by Mayor Holbrook's desperate attempt to sanitize Los Angeles before a crucial re-election debate. Suddenly, the puppy wasn't just a stray, it was a pawn in a larger, crueler game, and Doc, Keanu realized with a chilling clarity, wasn't just an aimless homeless veteran, but a decorated war hero, once lauded by the city, now discarded and invisible, a secret the city preferred to keep buried. Keanu, now acutely aware of the city's orchestrated cruelty, set his first goal: to shield Doc and Shadow from the impending sweep and expose the mayor's callous agenda. His immediate obstacle was Doc himself, whose ingrained distrust of outsiders ran deep. Keanu began patiently building a bridge, offering not just shelter in his guest house, but genuine respect and at least ear, hoping to slowly dismantle the walls Doc had erected around his heart. He also knew the media frenzy was inevitable. His goal was to control the narrative, to steer the attention away from celebrity spectacle and towards the systemic injustice facing Doc and countless others, a daunting task in a city obsessed with fleeting fame. Sarah, wrestling with her conscience, found her goal shifting from simply following orders to actively seeking a way to mitigate the damage of the impending sweep. Her primary obstacle was her rigid department and her partner, Miller, who saw Keanu's intervention as unwelcome interference. Subtly, she began gathering information, looking for loopholes in the directives, seeking any opportunity to offer aid from within the system without directly defying protocol, a dangerous tightrope walk that could cost her job. A nascent subplot emerged as Sarah started questioning her career path, wondering if she could truly effect change from within a system seemingly designed for indifference. Doc's immediate goal remained simple: protect Shadow. Keanu's sudden intervention was disorienting, a jarring shift from the familiar precarity of street life to the bewildering comfort of a Hollywood mansion. His primary obstacle was his own trauma, the deep-seated belief that any kindness was temporary, any stability an illusion. Trusting Keanu felt like a dangerous vulnerability, a foreign concept after years of fending for himself. He clung to Shadow, the small dog, his only constant, his silent plea for a world where they could simply exist without fear. Vanessa, sensing the magnitude of the unfolding story, sharpened her focus. Her initial goal was clear: break the story wide open, capitalize on Keanu's involvement, and propel her career to the next level. However, as she spent more time observing Keanu's genuine compassion and witnessing Doc's quiet dignity, a subtle internal conflict began to brew. Her professional ambition clashed with a nascent empathy, an uncomfortable stirring of conscience that threatened to complicate her journalistic objectivity. Her subplot emerged as a personal battle: could she remain the detached, ambitious reporter, or would this story force her to confront her own capacity for human connection, potentially at the expense of her career aspirations? The morning after Keanu sheltered Doc and Shadow, the inciting incidents landed to Los Angeles via every news outlet. Mayor Holbrook, in a televised press conference, officially announced Operation Clean Sweep, a citywide initiative to address the growing public health and safety concerns associated with homeless encampments. Framed with sanitized rhetoric about offering resources and improving neighborhoods, the announcement was, in reality, a thinly veiled declaration of war on the city's unhoused population, greenlighting the immediate and forceful dismantling of encampments. For Keanu, watching the broadcast in his home alongside a stunned Doc, the news landed like a punch to the gut. The vague threat Sarah had hinted at became terrifyingly real, the smiling politician on screen directly endangering Doc and countless others. His motivation solidified instantly: this wasn't just about saving a puppy, it was about fighting for human dignity against systemic cruelty. Doc, recognizing the chillingly familiar language of forced displacement from his war experiences, felt a cold dread grip him. The fragile safety he'd begun to feel shattered, replaced by the urgent need to vanish, to protect Shadow, to become invisible once more, even as Keanu's resolve ignited a flicker of a different kind of hope. Vanessa Sharp, glued to her news station's coverage, recognized the explosive potential of this development. Operation Clean Sweep wasn't just a policy announcement, it was the spark that could ignite a city, and she knew instinctively that Keanu Reeves, the homeless veteran, and the puppy were now at the heart of a story far bigger than anyone could have anticipated. Sarah, witnessing the official sanction of the brutal sweep, felt her internal conflict explode. The announcement was a direct challenge to her conscience, a blatant escalation that demanded a response, forcing her to choose between complicity and defiance. Operation Clean Sweep triggered immediate and chaotic consequences across Los Angeles. Homeless encampments, previously ignored or tolerated, became instant targets. News vans descended, capturing the grim spectacle of displacement, while social media erupted in a furious debate, splitting along lines of compassion and condemnation. Keanu, now facing the very public reality of Doc's vulnerability, realized sheltering him privately was no longer enough. His motivation shifted from simple rescue to active advocacy, understanding he needed to leverage his platform to fight the systemic injustice now laid bare. He resolved to use his voice, his influence, to publicly challenge Mayor Holbrook, a move that carried significant risks for his carefully crafted public image. Doc, witnessing the televised images of families being forcibly removed from their makeshift homes, felt a chilling echo of war. The announcement resurrected buried traumas, solidifying his distrust of all authority, but also igniting a dormant spark of defiance. His motivation became intertwined with Keanu's, no longer just survival for himself and Shadow, but standing in solidarity with others facing the same dehumanization. This newfound purpose, however fragile, offered a flicker of agency in a world that had stripped him of so much. Sarah faced the immediate fallout within the animal control department. Miller, her partner, became openly hostile, accusing her of disloyalty and jeopardizing their jobs with her tacit support of Keanu. Her superiors, under pressure from the mayor's office, launched an internal investigation into her actions, her career hanging precariously in the balance. Yet, the announcement hardened her resolve. Her motivation now included not just mitigating harm within the system, but actively dismantling its cruelties from within, even at personal cost. A subplot emerged as Sarah began secretly leaking internal documents detailing the department's quotas for animal seizures and euthanasia rates to Vanessa, a risky act of defiance that forged a clandestine alliance between them. Vanessa, recognizing the story's explosive potential, plunged into investigative mode. She sought to uncover the real motivations behind Operation Clean Sweep, digging beyond the mayor's sanitized rhetoric. This pursuit led her to Maria Rodriguez, a seasoned advocate for the homeless and a fierce community organizer. Maria, a new character with years of experience fighting for housing rights and social justice, saw Keanu's involvement as a double-edged sword, a powerful spotlight, but also a potential distraction from the long-term systemic issues. Maria's motivation was to channel the public outrage into sustained political action, to ensure Operation Clean Sweep became a catalyst for real change, not just a fleeting media spectacle. Through Maria, Vanessa began to see a different side of Los Angeles, a network of grassroots activism and resilient community fighting for survival against the city's indifference, expanding the setting beyond Hollywood and into the heart of social struggle. Keanu's public challenge to Mayor Holbrook ignited a firestorm. His social media exploded, #CompassionForAll trending globally, while mainstream media scrambled to cover the celebrity activist. This sudden spotlight, however, intensified the risks for Doc and Shadow. Mayor Holbrook, stung by Keanu's defiance and the viral backlash, retaliated, ordering increased surveillance on Keanu and accelerating the sweeps, pushing the Animal Control Department, and Sarah, to their breaking point. The stakes escalated dramatically as Doc became a symbol, a vulnerable pawn in a high-stakes political game. Keanu now faced a daunting dilemma: how to leverage his fame for good without further endangering Doc and other vulnerable individuals caught in the crosshairs of Operation Clean Sweep. Sarah, wrestling with guilt and defiance, found herself increasingly isolated within the department. Miller, feeling betrayed by her clandestine alliance with Vanessa and fearing repercussions, reported Sarah's suspicious activities to their superiors, triggering a formal internal affairs investigation. Sarah's subplot deepened as she faced the agonizing choice: cooperate with the investigation and betray her conscience, potentially saving her career but sacrificing her integrity, or double down on her defiance and risk everything to expose the department's complicity in Operation Clean Sweep. The tension with Miller became palpable, their once stable partnership dissolving into suspicion and resentment, mirroring the broader societal division. Vanessa, fueled by Sarah's leaked documents and Maria's insights, was piecing together a damning exposé. She discovered a hidden financial incentive behind Operation Clean Sweep: lucrative real estate development deals contingent on clearing out homeless encampments from prime downtown locations. Her subplot intertwined with Maria's activism as they collaborated to unearth further evidence, facing increasing pressure from the mayor's office and veiled threats aimed at silencing their investigation. Vanessa's ambition now clashed fiercely with her growing sense of journalistic responsibility, the lure of a career-making story battling against the ethical imperative to protect her sources and expose the truth, regardless of the personal cost. Doc, witnessing Keanu's escalating public battle and Vanessa's relentless pursuit of the truth, started to shed his ingrained invisibility. Inspired by their courage, he tentatively agreed to share his story with Vanessa, recognizing the power of his voice to humanize the crisis and challenge the city's dehumanizing narrative. This decision, a monumental step for Doc, created a new layer of vulnerability and risk, but also offered a path towards healing and agency. The interconnected subplots converged, forming a fragile alliance fueled by shared compassion and a desperate hope to challenge the powerful forces arrayed against them, the tension mounting towards an inevitable confrontation. Vanessa Sharp's exposé detonated. Published online and amplified by Keanu's social media, it laid bare Mayor Holbrook's cynical land grab, the real estate deals, the manipulated data justifying Operation Clean Sweep, and the devastating human cost. The city erupted in outrage. Public opinion shifted dramatically, the #CompassionForAll morphing from a trending topic into a rallying cry. For Mayor Holbrook, the carefully constructed facade crumbled overnight, his re-election campaign teetering on the brink of collapse. He doubled down, unleashing a smear campaign against Vanessa, Sarah, and even Keanu, attempting to discredit them as biased and irresponsible, but the truth had been unleashed, and the city was no longer willing to look away. This pivotal moment forced everyone to confront the stark reality of systemic corruption, solidifying the movement's resolve and pushing the narrative towards a final, unavoidable confrontation. Sarah, Facing imminent suspension and possible criminal charges due to Miller's accusations and her leaked documents, made a defiant choice. Instead of cooperating with the internal affairs investigation, she publicly resigned, releasing a scathing statement detailing the department's inhumane practices and her solidarity with #CompassionForAll. Her courageous act, broadcast live across news channels, became a turning point for her character, revealing a strength and moral conviction she hadn't fully recognized within herself. Her resignation galvanized public support, further isolating Mayor Holbrook and bolstering the movement's momentum. Meanwhile, Doc, witnessing the city's awakening and inspired by Sarah and Vanessa's bravery, made a momentous decision: he would speak at the planned City Hall protest. He would no longer be invisible. He would lend his voice, his pain, his resilience, to the growing chorus demanding change, transforming from a silent victim to a powerful advocate, ready to face his past and fight for a future where compassion wasn't a scarce commodity. The stage was set for a climactic showdown, the culmination of escalating tensions and individual transformations, converging on the steps of City Hall. In the days leading up to the City Hall protest, Los Angeles held its breath, a city teetering on the precipice of change. Maria Rodriguez, alongside Keanu, Vanessa, and a newly empowered Sarah, worked tirelessly, transforming #CompassionForAll from a hashtag into a tangible movement. They organized volunteers, coordinated logistics, and meticulously planned the protest, recognizing this was their pivotal moment to force Mayor Holbrook's hand and demand systemic reform. A subtle sense of hope began to permeate the city, a fragile optimism that perhaps collective compassion could indeed triumph over ingrained indifference. Mayor Holbrook, cornered and desperate, unleashed a final wave of calculated maneuvers. His PR machine went into overdrive, attempting to spin Vanessa's exposé as biased reporting and Sarah's resignation as emotional instability. Foreshadowing a darker turn, whispers began circulating about potential security concerns at the protest, hinting at possible police escalation or orchestrated disruptions, creating an atmosphere of unease and uncertainty. A minor, yet significant, resolution emerged as several city council members, swayed by public opinion and fearing political fallout, publicly distanced themselves from Mayor Holbrook, subtly shifting the balance of power, a small victory hinting at larger possibilities. Keanu, despite the unwavering public support, felt the immense weight of responsibility. He prepared for the protest, not as a celebrity, but as an organizer, ensuring Doc's safety was paramount, knowing Holbrook might target the vulnerable veteran to undermine the movement. He forged an unexpected alliance with some of his Hollywood contacts, leveraging their resources and influence to provide legal support and security for the protesters, a subtle undercurrent of Hollywood muscle flexing behind the scenes. A quiet concern lingered: would his fame ultimately amplify their message, or overshadow the real issues, becoming a distraction in itself? Sarah, now free from the constraints of the animal control department, channeled her anger and disillusionment into fierce determination. She worked alongside Maria, leveraging her inside knowledge of city protocols to anticipate Holbrook's tactics and strategize countermeasures. A surprising alliance formed as some of Sarah's former colleagues, disillusioned by the department's actions and inspired by her bravery, secretly offered logistical support, whispering information about police deployments and potential flashpoints, a subtle betrayal within the ranks hinting at deeper systemic cracks. Vanessa, bracing for the inevitable backlash and smear campaign, finalized her exposé, ensuring every detail was meticulously documented, ready to withstand legal challenges and media attacks. She wrestled with her own ambition, realizing that this story was no longer just a career move, but a moral imperative. A subtle foreshadowing of personal sacrifice emerged as she considered the potential long-term consequences of challenging powerful figures, knowing her career trajectory might be irrevocably altered, but her resolve to expose the truth remained unwavering. Doc, preparing to speak, wrestled with his own demons. The prospect of public speaking terrified him, but the growing movement, the unwavering support, and the desperate need for his voice to be heard outweighed his fear. He spent hours crafting his speech, not as a political statement, but as a raw, honest testament to his lived experience, a plea for human connection and dignity. A subtle uncertainty remained: would his vulnerability resonate with the vast crowd, or would his story be lost in the noise of protest? Another fragile hope hanging precariously in the balance as the city braced for the climactic confrontation at City Hall. The morning of the City Hall protest dawned with a palpable tension hanging over Los Angeles, a city holding its breath on the brink of a potential upheaval. News helicopters buzzed overhead, circling like vultures, amplifying the already heightened anxiety. For Keanu, the final hours were a tightrope walk between public persona and private fear. His fame was a weapon and a shield, but also a glaring target. The heightened security around Doc felt suffocating, a constant reminder of the very real threats Mayor Holbrook's desperation might unleash. The ultimate obstacle remained: would the sheer force of public outcry be enough to truly penetrate the walls of political indifference, to enact lasting change beyond a fleeting moment of outrage? Sarah, stripped of her uniform but armed with unwavering resolve, faced her own personal precipice. The internal affairs investigation loomed, the threat of legal repercussions a heavy weight, yet her focus remained laser-sharp, ensuring the protest was not just loud, but impactful, strategic, and safe. Her final challenge was internal: to silence the lingering doubts, the fear of failure, and to fully embrace her new role as an advocate, not just a disillusioned bystander. The emotional stakes were intensely personal: her career, her reputation, her future were all on the line, but the potential reward, a city where compassion held sway, fueled her every action. For Vanessa, the final hours were a race against time. Mayor Holbrook's counteroffensive had begun in earnest, smear articles surfacing online, veiled threats reaching her editor, pressure mounting to retract her exposé. Her last challenge was to stand firm against these forces, to protect her sources, and to ensure her carefully documented truth reached the widest possible audience, undiluted and undeniable. The emotional stake was her professional integrity, her commitment to ethical journalism battling against the powerful machinery of political manipulation, the suspense building towards whether her truth could shatter the mayor's carefully constructed lies. Doc, backstage at the makeshift protest stage, felt a tremor of fear mixed with an unfamiliar surge of hope. Shadow, sensing his unease, nudged his hand with his wet nose, a grounding presence in the swirling vortex of emotions. His final challenge was deeply personal: to overcome years of ingrained silence, to find his voice amidst the roar of the crowd, and to share his vulnerability, his pain, his story, in the hopes of forging a genuine connection with a city that had long ignored him. The emotional stake was immense: the potential for profound healing, for reclaiming his dignity, for transforming his personal suffering into a catalyst for collective empathy, all hanging in the balance as he prepared to face the expectant city. All narrative threads tightened, converging on the steps of City Hall, poised for a climactic collision where compassion and indifference would clash in a final, decisive confrontation. A sea of faces surged before City Hall, a collective roar of humanity demanding to be seen, to be heard. Maria Rodriguez ignited the protest with a fiery speech, her voice amplified across the square, a call for justice echoing through the canyons of downtown Los Angeles. Then, Keanu Reeves stepped forward, the celebrity stripped away, revealing raw emotion, genuine plea. He spoke not as a hero on screen, but as a citizen demanding compassion, his voice cracking as he introduced Doc, the veteran the city had forgotten. A hush fell as Doc, Shadow faithfully at his side, approached the microphone, his frame fragile, his voice trembling, yet resolute. He spoke of war, of service, of betrayal, of the soul-crushing weight of homelessness, his words a raw nerve exposed, each syllable a tear in the fabric of indifference. Tears streamed through the crowd, strangers embracing, a shared vulnerability cracking the city's cynical shell. Mayor Holbrook, watching from his office window, finally descended, a forced smile plastered on his face, attempting to reclaim the stage, to spin the narrative once more. He launched into a rehearsed speech, empty platitudes about caring for all citizens, but the crowd wouldn't have it. Their chants rose, louder, angrier, drowning out his hollow words. Then, Sarah Chen stepped forward, not as a disgraced former officer, but as a woman reborn in courage. She grabbed the microphone, her voice ringing with conviction, detailing the department's inhumane quotas, the systematic cruelty, her resignation echoing Doc's raw honesty, a twin pillar of truth shattering Holbrook's lies. Vanessa Sharp, live streaming to millions, zoomed in on Holbrook's face as his carefully constructed composure crumbled, sweat beading on his brow, his eyes darting nervously. Then, Keanu returned to the microphone, his voice now firm, resonating with newfound strength. "This is not just about a puppy," he declared, his gaze sweeping across the massive crowd. "This is about us. About who we choose to be as a city, as humans. We will not be silent. We will not look away. Demand compassion. Demand change." The crowd erupted, a unified roar shaking City Hall to its foundations. Holbrook, seeing his re-election vanish, his career in ruins, could only offer a weak, defeated nod, signaling the end of Operation Clean Sweep, the beginning of a city forced to confront its own heart. The battle was won, but the war for compassion, Keanu knew, had just begun, and it demanded their continued action, their unwavering solidarity, their enduring human hearts. The immediate victory at City Hall was just the first step. Operation Clean Sweep was dismantled, but the systemic issues of homelessness and inequality persisted, deep wounds in the city's fabric. Yet, something fundamental had shifted. Los Angeles, once defined by its glittering indifference, had glimpsed its own capacity for compassion. Keanu, forever changed, channeled his platform into sustained advocacy, establishing a foundation dedicated to bridging societal divides, his fame now a tool for genuine change. Sarah, hailed as a hero, embarked on a new career in social justice, her disillusionment transformed into unwavering determination, her voice amplified, fighting for systemic reform. Vanessa, her ambition tempered by empathy, continued to expose injustice, her reporting now driven by a deeper moral compass, her stories resonating with a newfound humanity. Doc, no longer invisible, became a powerful voice for veterans and the unhoused, his healing journey inspiring countless others, Shadow a constant symbol of unwavering loyalty and hope. In the quiet aftermath, Los Angeles began a slow, imperfect, but undeniable transformation. Compassion for all remained more than a hashtag, it became a guiding principle, a constant reminder that even in the most indifferent of cities, human connection, sparked by the smallest act of kindness, could ignite a powerful movement. The fight for true equality and widespread compassion was far from over, the systemic challenges deeply rooted, but the seeds of change had been sown. The city, forever marked by the rain-slicked streets and a puppy's whimpers, began to learn, slowly and painfully, that true strength lay not in manufactured glamour or fleeting fame, but in the enduring power of human hearts choosing to see, to care, and to act, together. The story wasn't over, it was just beginning, a testament to the enduring ripple effects of compassion in a world desperately needing more of it.